Hajj, significantly touching the Kaaba, the holiest site in Islam, will be banned. People in southwestern Japan are bracing for more torrential rain after a weekend of flooding that left at least 37 people dead. Areas around the city of Kumamoto received record rainfall on Saturday, causing landslides and rivers to burst their banks. The future of the Open Skies Treaty will be discussed at a specially convened conference in Vienna today. The agreement allows short-notice overflights of more than 30 countries to monitor military activity, but the US withdrew in May, accusing Russia of cheating. And a South Korean court has denied an extradition request by the United States for a man who ran one of the world's largest known child pornography websites. Sun Jung-woo, the operator of the dark website, will now be released from prison. BBC News.
Many thanks, Neil. Hello, this is Newsday from the BBC World Service with Lawrence and Claire on the way. We're going to be talking Malawi just a moment. Also, we'll be hearing from Zimbabwe as well. People struggling, of course, with the economic crisis already. How's it being aggravated by the lockdown? And also 2 Russians arrested in Australia over the killing of a Chechen dissident. It's not the first. Why are Chechens abroad looking over their shoulders? We've got a report. And Matthew Kenyon with the sport as well.
But we are going to start in Malawi. The official inauguration ceremony for Lazarus Chakwera, the recently elected president of Malawi, of course, takes place in the country's capital, Lilongwe, today. He was sworn in a week ago after elections that had to be rerun. The original ones were judged to be not free and fair. Well, on Sunday, the president called off planned independence celebrations and drastically scaled back on his inauguration ceremony following a spike in coronavirus infections in the southern African country. Grace Malera is a human rights lawyer and joins us now. Welcome to Newsday. Let's start then with that, this late decision to cut back on those celebrations because of the risk of COVID transmission. I guess he felt this had to be done.
Yes, that needed to be done. Looking at a lot of social media chats, there was a general public outcry that was likely going to escalate the spread of coronavirus, because we are going through a moment where the graph is rising. There's a spike in transmission of coronavirus. So it does give an indication that we've got perhaps a listening leadership that then decided on the very last minute, after all the preparations at the venue had been completed, to actually cancel the big scale inauguration ceremony and scaling it down. I think they will only be allowing close to 100 people to attend in a different venue altogether. So that's quite some good news.
Absolutely. Now listen, he's already named some members of his cabinet, hasn't he? No women thus far. So what do you think about who he's put in which position?
We are actually watching closely. We draw comfort from the fact that, at least in his first public pronouncements, he did indicate that he will meet the quota as stipulated in the Gender Equality Act, which is 40% of either sex. So given that this was a very initial cabinet, just 4 positions out of what he says would be a 30-member cabinet, we are still hopeful that perhaps the rest of the cabinet will reflect the quota as per his public pronouncements. Nonetheless, it's still a letdown that in these initial appointments there is no female appointed. And then when it comes, he's also appointed the topmost head of the public service, which is the chief secretary to government, sitting in the office of the president and cabinet, and a deputy. So at that point, the deputy is female, but it begs the question, the deputy is a thoroughly accomplished public servant, former solicitor general, former law commissioner. Our question as people working on women's rights is why not make her the first and the male be the deputy, as it were. So we do hope that there won't be tokenism.
Yeah, and these are the big jobs he's announced so far: finance, attorney general, economic planning, home affairs. We've been told he's an outsider. It's taken him a long time to get into this position, a rerun of the election. So where is he going to get his advice from then, his ministers from? Where's he drawing that?